So OpenRefine is kind of an interface that will just lead you to this server called 127.0.0.1 and semicolon 3333. So this is the IP address and the server that is designated for OpenRefine. And what it does is that this supercomputer, this cloud will run the data for you, right? They have all the algorithm ready and running this software for the people who are going to clean the data themselves. So if you just open that, it will lead you to this server, and there you can run all the analysis. So essentially, you are not burdening your computer, but you are just using the server capacity on the internet yourself to clean the data. So that's what OpenRefine is. OpenRefine started as a Google Refine, and then it became OpenRefine later. It was one of data cleaning project, and many softwares have worked on this app creation, and we are here now. So OpenRefine is professional data cleaning tool, and I encourage you to use this when you are cleaning the data. And we are going to be learning a few things here. So again, for your reference, let me do this. Let me make it half. Okay, so let me show you the instruction that I just opened and OpenRefine side by side, so that it may be easier for you to follow along. Okay, any questions so far? So this is a preparation step. Okay, if you don't have any question, so then I'll move on. First, let's talk about how to upload the data. And here, if you come to OpenRefine, that gives you this interface where you can, bring your own data, upload them on different ways. For example, if you are using the data from this computer that you have saved, then you can use this option, this computer. And sometimes you can also retrieve data from web addresses, right? So say you know where the data is stored, then you can here, and then that will bring up the ability for you to paste the web address, and it will retrieve the data. And sometimes, Java coded file that you can also bring up. And if you know a database, specific database such as SAS database or any other database that you know of, then you can put the information here and then directly retrieve the data. Google data, if you have any data that have saved in Google, then you can sign in and authorize, and you will be able to bring up the data here and work on it. So the easiest way is to upload the data from this computer, from the place that we save the data. So let's go to Browse and locate the data that we saved. Okay, I saved a few data, and I think this lecture 0 to data set 1. I think that's the name of the data set. So I'm gonna click on that, open. And then if you opened it, you hit next. And it has now loaded the data. And you see that OpenRefine automatically recognize this data as Excel file, right? So it is Excel file, but it could be JavaScript data, JSON data, or line-based text data, or CS files. So depending on what type of data you have, OpenRefine will handle them all. So in this sense, OpenRefine is quite powerful tool, versatile tool to handle many types of data, which is very advantageous for data cleaning. So if you have done this, then you see what happened. Okay, so if you have done this, you will see how you are bringing up the data. So worksheet to import the data set we identified, and it says it has 6,866 rows as we checked on Excel. And you are going to parse next one line because we know that the first line contains the column headers, right? So we are going to say that. And what I'm going to do with the blank rows, we're going to say, yeah, store them. Store blank cells as nulls as well. And store file source is not URL, so I'm going to uncheck, leave it unchecked here. And if you are, so it also gives you preview of the data, office title, office description, office address 1, 2, city, state, and so forth. And that preview you can see right here, right? So you can scroll to your right and see how many columns you have. And everything is just processed correctly, right? That you can tell. And you can give a name, right? So you can say OpenRefine first project, right? So you can give a different name yourself and tags business analytics, right? So you can give a different tag and then create project. So let's create project. Click on this button, create project, and it has created the project. And now you are on OpenRefine. OpenRefine loaded all this data to the server, and it has your project name as well there. So, which is always a useful thing to do. And it looks like a spreadsheet, but it's much more than spreadsheet modeling. And again, it's specifically designed to clean the data. Let's see the first task to do. So first thing that we want to do is date validation. So let's go to, scroll to your right, then you will see commissioned date, right? This is commissioned date. And this one has to be worked on. So I don't like the fact that it is at the end. So I want to adjust the order of the column. And what you can do is you can come to the far left where all column is there. And then on the left, you have a downward arrow. Click on that. And then you see edit rows or edit columns or view or facet. And I'm going to click on edit columns and reorder or remove columns. And here are all the columns that this data has. And I'm going to bring up this commission date. Right next to office description, right? Office description, because I'm going to be working on this one. So I can just reorder and rearrange the column easily here. Or you can, if you think, yeah, I know office address 2, it's not that important, then you can remove them from the data. The thing is that your original data is already saved in your computer, and this server is going to also keep your original data as it is. So no matter what you do, unless you are exporting it, it's going to be saved right there. So I'm going to just bring it back and then click on OK. Then now you see that the office address 1 and 2 are gone, and commission the data. Date is right here next to office description, which makes us easier to look at and navigate. Okay, so first of all, I know you know that there are so many rows, right? 50 rows, and we have next page, right? We can go to 51 to 100, 100, 150, or you can just directly go to the last page like this. So 6,851 to 6,865. And it is showing only 50 rows at a time. And if you just look at that, there are a lot of data, and it's kind of difficult to understand what is happening here. So one thing I know already is that this office commission date is not uniform, not following a standard format. For example, in Europe, they are using date first, and then months, and then year, right? So say today's date is February 16, 2021. So we write 02/16/2021. That's how we write. But in Europe, they write 16/ and 02 and then 2021. So the format of the date can be in disharmony, and we need to fix that too. So how do we know which one is not following the standard format? And you can tell that by analyzing this characteristics of this column. So what you do is first go to this downward arrow button and click on that, and it gives you many things that you can do, just like a right click in Excel or spreadsheet. Facet, text filter, edit cells, edit column, transpose, sort, view, and reconcile. For example, let's go with the sort, right? And we know that this is date, right? And the earliest first and latest then is sort. So April 3rd, 2012 came up first, and then go to next one. We have a lot of April 3rd and April 7th and so forth. So it has sorted the data as we want, right? So that we can see. So that's a good thing for us to do. And then we can also do facet. Facet is a really powerful tool, probably more powerful than Excel. And let's try facet and text facet first. And as soon as you added this text facet on this column, what happens is that on your left pane, you have commissioned the date, and these are the dates that we have. And it just automatically creates a frequency table, right? So January 1st, 2001, there's one row, and January 1st, 2003, 2 rows, and 2005, 8 rows. And look at here, January 1st, 2011, 1,467 records. So we can see various dates, probably, the election date or the date they were elected or they started their work. That will be the data, and that is given here. And if you scroll down to the bottom, then you will see everything is okay except for this one. It says 29/10/2012. So it's confusing, right? It's October 29th, 2012, but somehow the format is not right. So what we want to do is we want to fix this format ourselves. So what do we do? We do this by transforming the data. Or there are a few ways to do it actually. If you just go here, edit, and then you can change it 10/29, 2012. That you can do. That's one of the ways to do, right? But I don't want to do that. So another way to do that is go to this commission date and then edit cells. And then we have common transforms, right? Common transforms. And we are going to transform this column as date. Right now, we are not so sure how it is being recognized. So I'm going to change that to date. And it is going to automatically standardize the column to American style at this point. So click on that, and then it just created new form, right? So from before, it was recognized as a date. And look at here, this facet, text facet is now working very well because now it is not this column, commission date is not text, but actually it is the date. So it is not being recognized as a text at all. Right? So if you change the form to date, then you cannot use text facet anymore. Instead, you have to use a different kind of facet. So let's go to facet and say text facet, numeric facet, timeline facet, and scatter plot facet, custom and text facet, and so forth. So we have various ways of facet, even log facet, Unicode facet, error facet, null facet, and so forth. So here we want to use timeline facet because this is date, right? So let's use timeline facet. And then the moment you use timeline facet, what happens is that it creates another facet on the left pane and shows where they lie, right? So it started from January 1st, 2000, and it goes on and on like this, right? So the cool thing about timeline facet is that you can just choose or filter something out and choose only the data that you need. Right? For example, between 2009, January 1st, to sometime later, then you can adjust that, right? So you can look at that data only. So that's a very cool thing for you to use. So you can just filter things out very quickly using timeline. For example, I want to look at 2011, March 26th to the end of the data and who are there, right? They can be quickly searched. So that's 4,036 matching rows, or you can even, make it smaller, 3,218 matching rows were identified right there. So this is how you can change the date very quickly and also navigate the date and only choose the ones that you need to look at in the time frame. Any question about timeline facet? Yeah, one thing that we can do is that we don't want to handle this many blank records. So untick this blank, then we don't have to struggle with this blank rows, so that they can be done. It might be easier for us to navigate. And that reduces the number of rows significantly. Okay. Okay, so now why don't you do the same column transformation for expiration date? And let me know what you guys find. Expiration date is right here. So why don't you do the analysis yourself, transformation yourself, and let me know what you find there. How you can clean the data. If you find anything interesting, let me know.
Professor, I have a question about the timeline view.
Mm-hmm.
On my end, every time I move the timeline to either expand it or contract it, it moves in intervals of 1 year. Is there a way to reduce that interval so I can get a more precise range?
I see. Um, so on expiration date or on commission date?
Expiration date.
Expiration date. So let's go. In terms of sorting, I don't see, us picking up the more precise order than by year at this point. I know Excel does give us a powerful way of sorting things, but I don't think OpenRefine gives us that option.
Okay.
Professor, could you just really quickly go through the steps one more time? Because every time that I'm pulling it up on the sidebar, it's just a blank timeline. So I'm not sure which step I'm missing.
Okay, so let me do it again for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll to the right and go to expiration date. And then the first thing that I want to do is I want to see if everything is okay. So here's a text facet and see if all the formats are okay or not. And it looks like they are good, right? So, and then I will add edit cells, go to edit cells, and then common transforms, and then go to date. So I'm going to transform this column to date. So if I just click on that.
Okay. I think that was the step I was missing. It came up. Thank you.
Good. If you do that, now you can add facet. There are many facets, and I'm going to add the timeline facet and see, you can see the distribution, right? So in 2014, you have a lot of people commissioned at the time, and then 2016, 17, and so forth that you can tell. So generally, you can say from this analysis that you see a lot of people were commissioned in 2014. Why is that the case? Is there any terms, right? For some offices, they have the term of 4 years or 8 years. That might be the case, and then afterward, it is just decreasing steadily. Okay, so that was date part. And then now we are going to clean text files using cluster function. So now let's go to office title. So if you scroll to the left, there's office title column, right? And if you scroll, I will get rid of this timeline. You see judge, associate justice, judge, court of appeal, associate justice, city judge, and so forth. So you have various title for the office, and you want to see if there's any error in this column and quickly fix it. So again, if you want to see what kind of titles available, then go to facet and text facet. This is text file, so you can do that. Then you can adjust the size of the analysis here. And office title, alderman and alderman. I'm not so sure what the differences are, but it looks very similar. But this one has 788 count, but alderman, this one only 11 count. I think these two columns have to be merged together. And alderman at large, 20. Alderman, rather than man, is a man. So that's two of them. And this is an error, and it needs to be fixed, right? And we also see that probably here is the space, unnecessary space that needs to be cleaned. So one thing that you can do is you can just click on edit and go there and then delete all this unnecessary space like that, and then apply. And then that will fix some of them, right? This one I'm not so sure. Also, we have some trailing space over there. So you can work on it one by one if you want. Alderman, and there's an error in the spelling. Change that, alderman, and then that changed that. Assessor, 2 and 62, the same thing, but because of the trailing space in between, this is causing problems. So you can also delete them like this. You can do this, however, as you can see, there are too many office titles, and then it's kind of difficult for you to do them by hand manually like this. So what you can do is you can apply a function that will get rid of all these unnecessary trailing spaces in between or afterward, right? So that's a powerful tool that we can use in this Open Refine. And how do we do that, right? So what you can do is you have to go to now edit cells. Let's go to office title and then edit cells. I'm going to edit this column and go to common transforms, right? Common transforms. Last time we used to date, right? You changed to date. But now what we're going to do is trim leading and trailing white space, right? So get rid of them. Get rid of this white space and just click on that, and that will solve a lot of problems. So you have just removed lots of white space in between, right? Merged everything, good, right? So we're happy to see that. If you have gotten rid of these white spaces, now if you look at it, there are things that you need to fix that too. For example, let's see, councilman, council member, council at large, councilman, right? So councilman, councilman at large, council member. So what do you think? Council member and councilman, do you think they are the same thing? I feel like that's the same thing, isn't it?
Probably.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. So you might have to just edit it like council man, councilman, and that fixes the problem. And councilman again. So that has to be fixed. District attorney at large, governor, judge, magistrate, and so forth. So let's see if we can fix this. So there's a more powerful tool for us to use that is called a cluster, right? So we want to use mathematical methods to identify where this duplicated or close relationship exists amongst these names. So go to now cluster. If you go to office title and then cluster, button is right here, and click on that cluster, and no cluster were found with the selected methods. That method is key collision and fingerprint. So although this is a text data, they can use cluster method to find the commonality, and based on the commonality, they want to put them together. And key collision method and nearest neighbor method, we have two methods here. And key function, even if you are using the same method, you can change it to engram fingerprint, right? And that identified these two clusters, council member at large, council member at large. They are the same thing, but there was a space between council member, right? So that has to be changed. So you can, merge them together, right? And even you can use councilman, right? We remember that we use the councilman rather than council member, so that we can do. Here's council member 1 and 2 and 3. Not so sure if we can merge them together. So let me go with that. Merge selected and recluster. Very good. And now let's change engram size to 3 and see what happens. And I don't think we have anything here. What about metaphone 3? Let's go metaphone 3. And then we have council member 1, 2, 3, and everything. And I remember that we changed it to councilman. So I'm going to do that and merge councilman. And justice of peace and pieces and peace parish wide. I don't want to include the justice of peace parish wide, so I'm going to leave it at this moment. And merge selected and recluster. That we have to do maybe later. Now, colon phonetic. Phonetic did not work. So let's go to nearest neighbor now. Nearest neighbor. And we have Levenstein method, and DPEC member at large. DPEC, RPEC, they are two distinct things, so I don't want to do that. What about if I change the radius to 2? I think it's not that helpful. 3. This one, I think we can fix it, right? Const table and const tables. I'm going to fix that const table. And I like this one, right? It picked it up. So justice of the peace and pieces. So I'm going to change it to justice of the peace. And those are good. Merge and do it again. I don't see anything else. Let's go for 4. And I don't see any problem. So now let's change the method to ppm and see what happens. And let's change radius to 1 first. Radius to 2. Member BSC, I'm not so sure what that is. Councilman at large, state US representative. Yeah, I think it can be changed into, no? Right? State representative, US representative, they are the same thing, right? And this one is the same too, city court, city judge. And parish president, city parish president. Interesting, I don't know. City marshal and marshal. Constable, city constable. I feel like they are the same thing since there's only one city parish. So I'm gonna merge them together. Okay, that's good. Now radius to 3, member. Interesting. Okay, I'm fine. 4. State Senate, that's a big difference. State Senator and US Senator. I don't think they are the same. Okay, what about 5? Yeah, I think no meaningful result is being found. So I'm happy here. So close, and I have cleaned a lot of things, right? So that helped me to clean up office title very quickly. If I did it using Excel, it would have taken much more minutes, much more time for me to fix this office title. Now I want you to clean office description and city and parish. Okay, why don't you do that? So office description and city and parish. Why don't you clean it up? And if you have any question, let me know. Okay, if you guys are done, then now let's move to the next one. Duplicate record detection. Duplicate record detection. So sometimes, we have duplicate records, and if it's identical, Excel can easily identify it and then remove that. Excel is, in this sense, is powerful. However, it's identical, but there's a dissimilarity. There's say one more space, or there's a quotation mark, right? We know that they are the same. However, Excel cannot spot it because they are different in Excel's mindset. So what we have to do is we have to see if there's any other thing that we can do to find out this duplicate record, and Open Refine can be a help in that case. So what we can do is that let's experiment with candidate name, right? So candidate should be only one, but for example, the middle name, right? Some people put this dot after P, right? After P, but some people, they do not, or when you are entering the data, you omitted that dot and it will not recognize as the same record. So we are going to examine this candidate name and try to spot the duplicated data ourselves. So let's first see if that exists. So I'm going to remove this facet, office title facet, and I'm going to bring up candidate name, angle facet, and text facet. And there are so many names. So we hear Ander R. Suffman. And there, even we can go to cluster and see what names are the same, right? Russell P. Pavich and Russell P. Pavich. Looks like they are the same, right? Frank John Leveron, John Frank Leveron, which is the right one. Tony Jurek, Tony Zurich. So I think this one may need to be merged. So if we merge, then what happens? Those two identical data will be existing. We need to get rid of one of them, right? Not just merging them, but we have to get rid of one of them. Kenneth O. Stinton, Tony Guillory. So that has to be removed. And if we use engram and it identified more, for example, look at this one, Brenda Hensley Smith. And because this hyphen between Hensley Smith, it could not recognize as a duplicate. So that has to be done. And the Harriet T. Sensley. So this T has caused some problem and they need to be dealt with. And Russell P. Pavich, these are the same. And let's see what happens. Let's go to browse this cluster. So I'm going to click on that. That will open new Open Refine page, and there it will take you to the 3 records that we have just talked about. So Russell P. Pavich, 41st Representative District Subdistrict at large. Wow. And 297 identifier 297.535.15368. So city units. So it's kind of, all mixed, right? So which is right? Which one is the, so in this case, what shall you do? You have to, I think, manually go through this and you think, oh yeah, Mr. Public, this one has to be included here. So edit and public apply, right? We have to enter the data. Office level, not so sure. And 2016, 327. This is April 2nd. So the most updated data is this one. So we have to update that one rather than the other. So parish, probably Saint Landry. So I'm going to copy and go there, enter the data, apply. Office phone, probably this is the office phone. And go there and enter the data. Office address. And apply. And the city name is Eunice. Apply. And then I want to get rid of these 2 things, right? And go to all and edit rows, remove all matching rows. So that is good. I'm going to just close this out and come back here. And then, you have to visit each name and then complement the record to make it more complete and then address the issue that has to happen, right? So you can change the engram size to 3 and see what happens there, or change the method to nearest neighbor and see what happens there too. So in this way, the name has to be cleaned one by one, right? So it's a tedious work. And as I said to you, data cleaning can be a major issue when you are working on this. And Open Refine makes it easier because it guides you what to do. And cluster function is a really powerful one that you can use. Any question so far? Okay, so now let's go back to our canvas. And now we have about an hour. So during this hour, what I want you to do is I want you to open refine. So open this tutorial first, and then open refine data. So I want you to go through this tutorial using this data. And if you have any question, let me know. So I'm going to give you about an hour of the lab time for you to familiarize yourself with open refine.
Are we submitting what we're doing with this tutorial, or is this just for us?
It's just for you. So I strongly encourage you to go through it right now so that you can work on the assignment that I will give tonight. So here's the data, the new open refine, and I can open the data. Let me download it first. I'll download the data. Go there. Save file. And it is also a good idea for you to examine the data yourself in Excel so that you understand what this data is about. And here's the data. And this is a library data, library catalog. Oh, I don't think this is it. This is not the right data that I want you to work on. I think this data is also quite similarly related to your assignment. So let's open it. Open the data. Next. So when you open the data, you will see, so this is comma separate file. That's why we are using CSV file. But if you have a data that is separated by tabs, then you can use these tabs. But if you do that, it will mess up your data because this is not tab separated data, but comma separated data. Or you can put something else like a custom. In this case, comma separate data. But sometimes you can say, yeah, it is separated by this quotation. Then you can put it there too. But it will not work very well in this case. So this is comma separate file. And the first row includes the column header and use character. So you can go there, create project, and you are now loading the data into the server, and you can clean the data yourself. Okay, so you have identifier, addition statement, place of publication, date of publication, and so forth. You have 8,287 rows, and this is a book library data. And you will need to work on this. And I have opened the data, and then the layout of Open Refine. And I talked about it. Filters. Yeah, so I want you to go through this. That will be very helpful for you to learn what this is about. For example, filter. You can apply text filters to find a specific thing. For example, where was it published, right? So place of publication, you can go to place of publication, and you can add text filter here. Click on that, and on your left pane, you can type London. Then you will see all the thing that matches with London, right? So amazingly, you have 4,219 books that are published in London. And why is that the case, do you think? So let us add text facet here. And you see there are many places. And you might need to clean this place first. Akron, Ohio, wow. At the time, it was still existing. So let's clean this using cluster. And London, I think you can fix that. London, Edinburgh, printed. And you can fix that. And Edinburgh, Boston, Massachusetts. This is good. London, Guildford, printed. I'm not so sure if we need this printed. And so forth. So I want you to clean this. I'm not going to do everything for you, but this takes some time for you to clean the data. And this is related to your assignment as well. So clean it very well. London.